name's Tracy Bryan. I'm the president and CEO of the Bridge of Southern New Mexico. And hosting us tonight are our friends with Engage New Mexico, and Summer Mitchell is with Engage. And Summer, you want to wave? There you are. Gotcha. Okay. I was on the wrong screen. My bad. And so I reached out to these two wonderful people who are doing really important work at New Mexico State. And I said, hey, if we wanted to have a community conversation, would you join us? And so, and they've brought reinforcement. So it's amazing. So Sherry Coleman is leading some new programming that NMSU is doing that is specifically targeting to these more short-term credentials. And in addition to, I'm sure they're integrated into degree pathways. And so Sherry's gonna talk about that. Vandine McKenzie, financial aid. Everybody wants to know about financial aid. Vandine, you're probably one of the more popular people on campus, you and your team. So I'll let you guys introduce the rest of the NMSU Dream Team that has joined us this evening.
Okay, then. So good afternoon. My name is Vandine McKenzie, and I'm the Director of Financial Aid. And we think we're the most important office on campus always, and we're the nicest people on campus because we give money away. So everybody should love us, although everybody doesn't. But yes, we're here to assist anybody that's going back to school, the incoming freshman, the person who's been out of school for a long time, the parent who is thinking of going back, getting some retraining. If somebody's changing their career, that's why we're here to help them, to ensure that finances should not be a barrier to someone attaining that education. And of course, with me, I have my outreach advisor, Michael, who will definitely be doing the presentation. And I also have Valerie. She is one of the caseload advisors. So we are just here to assist as best we can.
Well, thank you guys so much for that. Well, let me start by, I'm just going to start with the whole financial aid question, right? Right now, there's people who have been displaced in our community. I just got some updated numbers. It's like 7,000 people who, through no fault of their own, COVID has impacted their employment. And one of the things that's really important for our community to think about as we move forward is, they have a set of skills that are so valuable to employers. Everybody talks about them as soft skills. I call them employability skills, but people who've already been successful at work have customer service skills. They have problem solving and teamwork and critical thinking. And that foundation of skills is really valuable to employers, but it may be that you need to, take a class or earn a credential that kind of puts you in a position to transition to a different industry. And frankly, sometimes when you do that, you can come out earning more than before. And so the reason that the Bridge and Engage wanted to partner on these conversations is to make sure our community knows there's no question that if that is your trajectory, we have everything you need here to be successful. And so, so thanks to NMSU for joining us tonight. I'm going to just put the financial aid thing out there. So, if people may have lost their jobs and they are looking to do something else, but I can't afford to go to college. I hear that a lot. Is that a true statement?
That is not a true statement, because there is some form of financial aid for everybody, regardless of your income level. And sometimes I understand people don't want to take loans, but loans are a part of financial aid that the federal government also offers. But the one surprising thing, I've had students who refuse to fill out the FAFSA because they know they're not getting anything. And surprisingly enough, when they do, they found out they're Pell eligible. I don't know who told them or why they had the perception that they wouldn't be. But the reality is the FAFSA is free. There is no cost to filling out the FAFSA. So at least fill it out so you know what your options are. That's the major thing. Get the FAFSA completed. Once it's completed, you will see, and then you can say, okay, then this is what I have coming in, and you have an idea what you're working with. But always ensure that they complete the FAFSA. That's the important first thing.
So some people may not know, what is the FAFSA?
The FAFSA, that is the free application for federal student aid. And that is the application that the student would submit to the department, basically to the federal government, with their information about their taxes for the previous 2 years ago, yes, now that things might have changed, their income may be significantly different than it was 2 years ago, but it's still that one that they would use and they submit it. Then we are able to download that information to determine what they're eligible for. Although if they use the income from 2 years ago, they can come in and talk to us, and we can, after that point, adjust the income to reflect what is more current now.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well,
and something else to keep in mind about the FAFSA is that we will help absolutely anybody for free with their FAFSA. If they've never done it before, if they have questions about it, if they want, one-on-one help, one-on-one walkthrough, we do offer that as well, specifically for the FAFSA.
Well, thank you for that.
Michael made a good point, because there are people who charge to assist with completing the FAFSA, and we never want anybody to pay for it, because the first acronym in FAFSA is free.
Right. That's really helpful. I didn't know somebody were charging for that. Okay. So we're going to let Sherry talk, but first of all, I have to make a comment. Michael, I don't know if you look like you have a professional broadcaster's microphone there in front of you, and you totally have a DJ look going for you. There you go. So, thank you. I feel like we are in the presence of radio personality, and you've got the right voice. So thank you for joining us. All right, Sherry, I'm going to turn it over to you. So, when I think of going to NMSU, it's a 4-year degree, or maybe I'm going to get my master's or whatever. But NMSU is now doing something different that's really meant to address this moment that we're in, where I might need a shorter term credential. I can't afford to be in college for 2 years or 4 years, 3 years, whatever. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, actually, I'd love to be able to give you a visual and show you. So if I can get the host rights, I can show you the NMSU On Demand site. Thank you for that. There we go. So NMSU On Demand is a brand new offering. We did a soft launch in March, and we're continuing to build our catalog of offerings. And essentially what this is, it's a storefront, if you will, that anyone can go to, whether you're an NMSU student currently, or if you are someone in the community looking to upskill, reskill, or create enhance any type of new skills. And what we're doing with these is we're developing these in a 1 credit, 1 competency type of a model. And what that does is allow you to take these, you can earn different credentials. And so if I forward this.
Let me ask you a favor. Would you do me a favor? Put it in presentation mode, just because the way it's showing, I know I'd see more detail, if you don't mind. Thank you for that. Perfect. Yeah. That's wonderful.
No problem. So I'll go back here, and this is the on-demand. And so as we're talking about the 1 credit, 1 competency model, and I forward this, essentially what you do, you get for every single credential that you earn, you get a badge. And so it validates your skill, and you're demonstrating to an organization or an industry partner that you truly know how to do this particular skill. And then you can stack these various type of skills. So you see the 3 there, to then earn a micro credential. And so we have designed this so that it is, of course, the state of New Mexico, which our logo is a part of that, but also then utilizing different New Mexico colors that we have here to, again, just represent our community. But the important thing with this is that you can then have this as a digital wallet. You can't see that, but I'm holding up my phone. And you can then tell employers exactly what skills you have, and you can show them, because you'll be able to demonstrate that. And you have all of that at your fingertips, versus waiting for a transcript or something of that nature, or a pass-fail type of grade that doesn't necessarily tell the workforce the true knowledge that you have.
That's awesome.
They stop sharing that.
Well, so give us some examples. Like if I know that there's some really hot jobs around here with IT, anything, right?
Yeah.
Anything that has to do in healthcare. And I know, I always tell people, you don't have to put a needle in someone to go to work in healthcare. You know, there's a lot of jobs in healthcare that have nothing to do with that. So do you mind speaking just to a little bit about, you know, really, I think what you would perceive as high demand and highly valuable courses that you're offering?
Yeah, and so we're looking at the engineering, so the College of Engineering, the College of Business, Agriculture, and Arts and Sciences. We're launching 10 new micro-credentials. And essentially what we're looking at is just what you're talking about, Tracy. So in the College of Arts and Science, if you're looking at doing more of a marketing or graphic design type of a position, and digital marketing, by the way, for anyone looking to get into that, that is a very, very hot job right now. You can also do it in the comfort of your home. So there's a lot of telework opportunities and positions of that nature as well. And so we're going to be offering, you know, Adobe type products and teaching you how to navigate with those skills. We have College of Engineering, you know, where you're looking at different type of surveying. You know, a lot of people don't understand, you don't have to be a civil engineer per se to actually do some of the surveying aspects of that. Agriculture, we're looking at modernized ag, so digital agriculture. What does that mean? What does that look like? So, you know, when you're out in the field, how do you actually digitize that or modernize those type of environments? So we have some of those moving forward. And then for the College of Business, project management is a very hot skill right now. A lot of employers are looking for that. Also looking at like lean type, it's really more of it's part of a project management, but like green belt, black belt, you know, those type of different credentials that we'll be offering as well.
Well, that's really, you know, that's really important. And I feel like employers need to understand this too. So micro-credentials for our employers are kind of a new thing, but they are all about trying to understand what people know. And I think if these micro-credentials allow people to be able to speak to their skills that they've learned, that is what employers are looking for. And I promise you, if you go on the Department of Workforce Solutions, the #1 skill that they're looking for is going to be customer service. The #2 is going to be communication. So that's what I'm saying. I think people have valuable skills, but what you're doing is you're giving them something else, an extra skill that makes them really valuable in the local economy, in the local, for the local employer. And employers are clamoring for talent right now. You know, it's really a great time to do this. How long are these courses? Do they vary? Are they, you know, short?
They do vary, but as we launch this, we will have them, the length will be about 4 weeks. The longest you'll see one probably being about 6 weeks. And then we'll also have some that are self-paced, because we are looking at that adult learner market, right? And to be able to serve that adult learner, you also need to get creative, because you have multiple priorities that are going on. And as we've developed this, and even in our online programs that we're launching in the fall, we've considered all of those aspects into our design. So, you know, making sure that we have wraparound services to really help the student. And so what that means, anything from like even what Vandine and Michael talked about, to financial aid, to helping them get set up for their classes, and making sure we're there to support adults as they transition back into higher education, or even taking something as a micro-credential.
Okay, so these are offered online only, right? You don't have to go to class.
That is accurate.
Are they offered at a specific time, or you could attend class at any time? How does that work?
So for the micro-credentials, we will have a synchronous component, but it doesn't mean that you have to be there at that time. The videos will be recorded, and then you can engage in that at your own time. That is the same thing with NMSU Online. We have the synchronous component built in if you can attend live, but if you can't, you can then watch the videos to gain that content as anyone else. And again, it's focusing on that adult learner, right? And so you're putting the kids to bed at 10 o'clock. The next chance you get to actually engage in your own learning and your own development is 11 o'clock at night. And so we want to make that accessible to everyone.
So when you say it's 4 to 6 weeks, how many hours of time should I be putting in a week? Is this a 10-hour a week kind of a commitment?
Yeah, so as we developed it with a Carnegie rule of credit in mind. And so what that means is for higher education institutions, we do everything with guidelines, obviously with accreditation in mind. And so we wanted to design these so that if you wanted to earn an actual academic credit, that we designed it as such. And so it's 42.5 hours of engagement for one competency. And so you will spend in the 4 to 6 weeks, you will spend 42.5 hours, whether that's engaging in reading material, engaging with other classmates, engaging with the instructor. So it's a compilation of 42.5 hours.
Oh, so that's pretty doable.
Mm-hmm.
Over a 4 to 6 week period. Okay. All right. So, and that website again, if I want to go look at the credentials that I could go after, is what? What's the website?
You actually go to NMSU or online.nmsu.edu.
Online.nmsu.edu. Okay. So now I'm going to transition this over to our friends at Financial Aid. I'm really sorry. I have a dog that has entitlement issues at the moment. So I'm transitioning to our financial aid department. And, you guys can speak to this specifically, but I really do know there's so many people in our community who started an education, at NMSU, but, sometimes life gets in the way and you don't finish. So I want to speak to not just the person who's doing this short-term credentialing, new wonderful thing that NMSU is offering, but maybe people who are thinking, I'm only 5 hours away from finishing. Why don't I go back? Can you speak to them about, how they could do that and what financial aid, how the financial aid office would work with them?
Well, I would definitely advise them if they had attended before, they're thinking of coming back, I would say schedule an appointment. First, complete the FAFSA and then schedule an appointment with their financial aid advisor, just so they can look over their file to see what happened in the past and definitely give them that needed guidance. So that's because every student has an assigned financial aid advisor. So they can schedule that appointment. They can do it via Zoom. It can be done over the phone. They don't necessarily have to come in. If they're not able to communicate with their financial aid advisor during that normal 8 to 5 work hours, then they can send an email, and they can do that communication back and forth via email. And the advisor would definitely detail everything that is going on based on what has happened in the past, and of course, definitely contact their academic advisor so that they can guide them, because sometimes depending on how long they may have been out and the degree that they were going for, they may have to retake a class, because there are some degree programs that you have a time limit on the course, or the academic advisor might even tell them, based on the courses that they have already taken, you might be closer to a different degree. So that is something that they can also look at, because a majority of jobs just want you to have a bachelor's degree, not necessarily a specific bachelor's degree. So that's another option that the student could potentially look at.
Well, thank you for that, Vandine. Michael, you said you have a presentation. You want to, Summer, can we share screens with Michael?
Absolutely, we can do that. That's easy.
All right, yeah, so I do just have kind of a general overview introduction to financial aid. I know a lot of this information we've already actually kind of talked about, so I'll just kind of go through this again and just touch on that again. So some of this information, I know we don't have very many people with us tonight, so I know people may be coming back after the fact to watch the recording. So some of this information may not necessarily be applicable to you right now, but some of this information may be applicable to, someone else at a different point in time. So I've just kind of tried to keep it broad and include as much as I could. So something I always start off with when I do my presentations is always just kind of give an introduction, what is financial aid? That's always a big question. I tell people I work in financial aid and they're always like, well, what does that mean? What do you do? What even is financial aid, right? So financial aid is just what helps students and their families pay for college. And there are 4 types of financial aid. And those 4 types are loans, grants, work study, and scholarships. So, scholarships, that's always what gets people excited. I always enjoy talking about scholarships. So for our in-state, freshmen, for our, in-state students who it's their first time attending college, we offer seven different institutional scholarships for them. So for these first 4 on the list, if you're looking at coming back to school, you're looking at applying to NMSU, it's important to keep in mind that some of these scholarships, they do have application deadlines. That's okay, not all of them do, but if you're looking at trying to get a scholarship, keep in mind that there may be deadlines for that. Or if you've already attended some college, you're looking at coming back, we do have transfer scholarships for you as well. Just like the other scholarships, some of these do have application deadlines and everything like that. But all the information about scholarships, the eligibility requirements, renewal requirements, award amounts, all that information is on our financial aid website. It's super easy to get to. It's just fa.nmsu.edu. Something important to keep in mind was that I don't know if anybody who's going to be watching this is going to be joining us starting in the fall. But for the fall, we were basing our eligibility for scholarships entirely based off of your high school GPA or your transfer GPA if you transfer with us. Will that change in the future? Maybe. But again, for fall 2021, that's currently how it works. So if you're awarded one of our institutional scholarships, how these work is that these are awarded at the time of admission, and they are awarded in the fall and spring semesters. And if you meet the eligibility requirements and continue to meet the eligibility requirements, you could either renew these scholarships for up to 8 semesters if you received a freshman scholarship, or up to 4 consecutive semesters if you received one of our transfer scholarships. So each of these scholarships, they do have their own eligibility and renewal requirements, as well as their own award amounts. Like I said, all that information is on our website. And then just the general eligibility requirements for each of these scholarships, you need to enroll in 15 new Las Cruces campus credit hours. I understand if you're doing NMSU online, taking these micro courses, obviously this won't apply to you because this is more aimed towards the full-time students and everything like that. But scholarships that would apply to you, I'll talk about that more in just a second. But I just briefly want to touch on the lottery. Living in New Mexico, again, I know this may not necessarily apply to you if you're looking at coming back to school with us, but we're in New Mexico, I always have to talk about the lottery because everybody always loves talking about the lottery. So to just briefly review this, if you graduated from New Mexico High School, if you're a New Mexico resident, then you can receive the lottery if you enroll at a qualifying institution within 16 months. Again, if you've taken a break from school, haven't been in school for a while, again, you may not be eligible for the lottery. But, if you have kids, family members, friends who are in high school, graduating, that lottery can be there for them. But, if you're not eligible for the lottery, that's okay because there are other scholarship opportunities for you as well. A huge one, a huge source of scholarships, a huge source of additional funding for your education is Scholar Dollars. So what Scholar Dollars is it's essentially an all-in-one application for every other scholarship that you may be eligible for at New Mexico State University. So how these Scholar Dollars applications work is that they are generated specific for each student, and they take into account things such as your major, your department, your college, where you're from, what your interests are, things like that. So I highly recommend, everybody highly recommends that all students fill out and submit a Scholar Dollars application no matter what. So these do open on October 1st of each year, but there isn't necessarily a hard deadline for them or anything. We do have that March 1st priority deadline. So if you're looking at doing a Scholar Dollars, definitely try to get it in before that March 1st priority deadline. But if that passes, that's okay. You still can and still should submit one of these Scholar Dollars applications, because I cannot stress how great of an opportunity these Scholar Dollars are, because there just are so many scholarships available to students. I know each semester some of these scholarships, go unclaimed or unawarded because people just think, oh, I'm not going to do a Scholar Dollars, I'm not going to get anything. But just like we were talking about with the FAFSA, definitely do not have that attitude, because you never know. Students who go and say that end up doing a Scholar Dollars, and then they get awarded scholarships after all. So definitely be sure to do one of these Scholar Dollars applications. Another great source of scholarships is our private scholarships opportunity page. What this page is we just have, external groups reach out to us. They say, hey, there's this scholarship available. Can you list it on our website? NMSU students will be eligible. So what we do is we just list all of these private scholarship opportunities on our website. These are great because students, not many students always apply for these, and they also do run year round. So, if you're halfway through the semester, you're potentially looking for a new source of some additional funding, looking for an additional scholarship, definitely worth checking out our private scholarships opportunity page, because like I said, these run year round. A lot of them have pretty, I don't want to say simple requirements, but some of these just want you to write, a one-page essay. A lot of students often qualify for these private scholarships just based off of like their GPA or their degree or what their interests are. So definitely recommend checking out these private scholarship opportunities in combination with doing your scholar dollars. So next thing I want to talk about, we already did kind of talk about this, but that is the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Just like scholar dollars, these do also open on October 1st, and they do have that same March 1st priority deadline. But you could do your FAFSA at any time. You could do it after March 1st. You could do it, in the summer right before classes start. You could even do your FAFSA after classes start. However, we do always recommend that you do get your FAFSA done as soon as possible. I'm sure we also already said this, but we also do recommend that every single student submit a FAFSA application no matter what. I kind of touched on this earlier, but we do offer help with your FAFSA application. You can make an appointment with us, get one-on-one help, get an entire walkthrough done. We also do host FAFSA events where kind of like the appointments, you can just drop in, ask questions, get help, everything like that. So definitely be on the lookout for those as well. Something else I also always like to mention about the FAFSA is that you can actually do your entire FAFSA application on your phone, in the palm of your hand, or on a tablet. The U.S. Department of Education released this great My Student Aid app. So, if you want to get your FAFSA done, but you may not have access to a computer, but you have a smartphone or a tablet, then you could go ahead, just download that app on your phone, on your tablet, and do your entire FAFSA in the palm of your hand. So people always ask me, why do you recommend the FAFSA? Why do I have to do the FAFSA? What does the FAFSA give me? So the FAFSA determines your need and eligibility to receive federal financial aid, and federal financial aid covers loans, grants, and work study. So to just briefly review student loans, I know we kind of talked about this earlier. Loans may not necessarily always be ideal, but truly they allow so many students the opportunity to, attend college, receive an education, and get their degree. So there are two main types of student loans, subsidized and unsubsidized. So the major difference between the two is that subsidized loans are need-based, and they do not accrue interest while you are still enrolled in school. Whereas unsubsidized loans, those aren't need-based. Everybody gets offered an unsubsidized loan, and those do start accumulating interest as soon as they are paid out to you. So I know the student loan process, maybe it could be a little complicated, maybe it could be a little intimidating, but that is honestly made a lot easier because all students are required to attend a loan entrance counseling. Now, honestly, it gives you all the information, goes through all the steps about your student loans. And then once you're finished with school, or once you leave school, if you did take out loans, you are also required to attend a loan exit counseling, which again has a ton of great information, gives you all the information about repayment, everything like that. And then there is one other type of student loan. Again, this may not necessarily apply to everybody we have here tonight, but that is Parent Plus loans. What these Parent Plus loans are is that they are a loan taken out by the parent for their dependent student. So again, if you're a parent, your student is attending college, they're still dependent, you want to help them out with their expenses, you could consider getting one of these Parent Plus loans. These are becoming increasingly popular. They're another great opportunity if the parents are involved in funding their students' education. So again, I always have to plug these because I just think they're super cool, another great opportunity. But to continue talking about federal student aid, we've already covered 1/3, we've gone over the loans. The next type of federal student aid is grants. So what grants are is that they are need-based aid that does not need to be repaid. When I'm talking about grants, I'm talking about Pell, which is the big one. But then there's also the SEOG, College Affordability Grant, Teach Grant. So these grants are reserved for students with the highest financial need, and some of these grants do have limited funds available. That's why we definitely recommend that all students get their FAFSA application in as soon as possible, because getting it in sooner, getting in before that priority deadline may give you a better chance at receiving some of these more limited grants. You know, we already mentioned this earlier, but a lot of students say, I don't want to do the FAFSA, I'm not going to get anything, or I don't want loans, I have no reason to do the FAFSA. And then, like we said, they do the FAFSA and they receive the Pell Grant, which is a huge source of funding. Definitely makes paying for college, you know, a lot easier, because they get that grant, they get the money, and you know what? They don't have to pay it back. So again, just another great reason to be sure and do your FAFSA application. And then the third and final type of federal financial aid, that's just work study. What work study is you work a part-time job up to 20 hours a week where you just work and you earn money up to your award amount. So finding a work study position is actually made super simple. NMSU has started using the Handshake app, which is just kind of like this app that's integrated with your My NMSU account. And all you do is you just log into it and it helps you find these work study jobs. Something I always mention is that, you know, work study spots, work study funds are limited. Another reason to get your FAFSA application in early, but if you are interested in work study and maybe you don't receive a work study award, that's okay, because we do open up a work study waiting list prior to the start of each semester. So you could go ahead, keep an eye out for that. We always advertise it, we always announce it. So if you are interested in work study, but you weren't, initially awarded it, that's okay. Just be sure to get on our work study waiting list so you do have another chance at being awarded that work study. So since I've kind of touched on the different types of federal financial aid, I just want to briefly touch on SAP, or Satisfactory Academic Progress. So essentially, federal regulations require all students receiving federal financial aid to be meeting satisfactory academic progress in order to maintain their eligibility for financial aid. And SAP, it just has 3 components. You have to keep a 2.0 GPA, you have to pass at least 70% of the courses you attempt, and then you have to finish your degree within 150% of your published degree length, or what is typically 180 hours. So if you're receiving federal financial aid, if you're receiving grants or loans, definitely keep in mind that you have to be meeting SAP and you have to be meeting these requirements. So I briefly want to take just a quick minute to talk about how you actually get your financial aid money. So you get your financial aid, you get your loans, your grants, your scholarships, you get all of that automatically through our disbursement process. So what happens is, if you've met all your requirements, if you've accepted our terms and conditions, accepted your awards, everything like that, what happens is the Monday before classes start, all of your financial aid disperses automatically to your student account to pay off the balance for that semester. And you know what? If your aid covers more than what your balance is for that semester, then the remaining funds will be automatically issued to you in the form of a refund. Our disbursement process being automatic honestly makes it super easy. You don't have to worry about going to the financial aid office to pick up a scholarship check and then depositing it into your bank and then going online and paying tuition, because all of that happens automatically. Yes, if you have leftover funds, sure, or if you have leftover expenses not covered by financial aid, yes, then of course you will have to go in and pay those manually yourself, but everything else just happens automatically, makes it super easy. But that is all the information I have for this presentation. Like I said, I just wanted it to be kind of a general introduction, a general overview. One thing I always point out is that all the information I covered with this presentation, plus so much more, it's all on our financial aid website. Super easy to get to. It's just fa.nmsu.edu. And then if later on down the road, if you're watching these recordings and you have any questions, you could definitely reach out to us via email, financialaid@nmsu.edu. We love getting emails from current and prospective students. So if you have any questions, need any help with anything, definitely do not hesitate to reach out to us with that email.
Wow, that was really awesome and delivered like a DJ. Thank you so much, Michael, for that. Can I get you to quit sharing screens for a minute? Thank you. So I've learned more about financial aid just now than I ever knew before. And so I too have been enlightened. And I'm a parent of students that went through college, and You guys have done an amazing job, I think, of making it much easier. And for students who are really navigating that journey on their own because they're an adult student, I think it's really good that, you've got these different mechanisms and ways of communicating. One of the things that, that I always tell people, and don't take it personally, Michael, but I tell people, go to school as close to free as possible. And, and that's the great thing is you have a lot of different ways of paying for school. There's several other ways, but one of the other ways I want to talk about is through the Workforce Connection system. So the Workforce Connection system, if you qualify for benefits and you enroll as a job seeker in the system, and one of your goals is, well, gosh, I wanted to finish my degree, or I'd really like to take one of these credentials that Sherry has, they will work with you, and they have what they call individual training accounts. And they too will provide funding you don't pay back, funding to help you go to school. And so connecting with the Workforce Connection Centers is really it's the entryway to doing that. And I wanted to just share, so there's another resource I want to make sure people are armed and equipped with right now, especially as they think about their future. So Summer, I want to share screens now. We're all going to share screens tonight.
Easy, no problem.
Thank you. So there's a website that is just for us in Doña County. It's called NewMexicoTrueTalent.org. And what New Mexico True Talent is it is the one-stop shop to information about education and employment. And what we've done is we basically said to our people, hey, you're the greatest resource we have, and we want to do everything we can to invest in you. And what we've done with New Mexico True Talent is created a couple of different resources that I want to make sure people are really aware of. There's resources for students, there's resources for parents, and that can be a parent who wants to partner with their child starting to make some of these decisions, or maybe the parent is doing this for themselves. And so for the purpose of the conversation tonight, I just want to show you the way that the page breaks out. If you're going for resources for parents, maybe you want to pursue different careers. And this is just a series of links to free information. By the way, this website is available in Spanish and English. It is mobile friendly. And I can't promise all the links will be Spanish, but I can promise you the dialogue will be available in Spanish. And so there's different things. There's videos about, what jobs are, a link to what jobs are available at Spaceport America. There's videos about different opportunities in healthcare, aerospace here. What do they do out there at White Sands Missile Range? And, so some really interesting ways to explore careers. There is a state career exploration website that you can access through here. There is also, the way to match what your goals for life are with what degree might get you where you're trying to go. As far as, exploring resources that can fund your future, here's the New Mexico Workforce Connections link for our local offices here. Education and training, you'll find both DACC information and NMSU information here. So we've got, several different links that will help people get connected to what they're interested in learning. I am 100% sure I have the FAFSA. Here it is. It's on the DACC piece, but it is a link to the FAFSA so that people can explore different resources that are available to them. And then if you're the parent and you're wanting to do some of this stuff alongside your child, these are just some other resources that are more from a parent's perspective. But what is really valuable, and we are the only ones in the state that have this to my knowledge, so we've looked at some of the industries that we have said, these industries are what we are shooting for with economic development. They are here, they are strong, and they are growing. And so if you look, at every new building going up in our town, it's a healthcare building, right? If you're interested in aerospace, I can't imagine a better place in the country to live than right here where we have Spaceport America, the NASA facility out at White Sands Test Facility. And then we also have, private companies like Virgin Galactic and Spin Launch. There's tons going on in aerospace and commercial space. So what we've done is we've tried to provide a one-stop shop for people to think about how would I prepare for those careers, and what are the specific skills and degrees that they care about. So this is a career pathway, and this is for all of these industries that I just showed you. If you look, it's just a sampling, but these are the different kinds of jobs in the blue down here at the bottom that are available in aerospace and defense, because they're pretty connected here. So the trade and technician level, a little higher level engineering techs, what you would generally think of as a physicist or a chemist, or a 4-year degree engineer. And then also you can start your own business here in these industries. There's a ton of innovation going on. And NMSU is actually a birthplace for it through the Arrowhead Center. They help entrepreneurs statewide, not just those that are in college, anybody that's trying to market their business. They're an amazing resource. But, from an education perspective, if you look in the green, whether you're in high school or you're going to be re-entering college, we've got all the assets here in our education institutions to prepare you with career and technical education, with 2-year certifications and degrees, or certifications and 2-year degrees and 4-year degrees, and higher. And here's the workforce connections system in the middle, prepared to connect people to education and or employment. And so in the yellow, how important is work-based learning? Well, a lot of people right now have plenty of work-based learning. They've been employed for a long time, and they're thinking they might have to change industries. This is a pretty interesting one to be a part of. But this is what nobody else has. Well, we have that too, but in addition, what we did was we've actually quantified some very specific information about these jobs. And we talked with some of the largest employers, but that represented half of the employees in this sector in our community. And they need a lot of different things out there. If you look on here, it's not just science, technology, engineering, and math like you would think. It's finance, it's AV, it's IT, it's hospitality. I mean, there's a lot of interesting careers out there. And their pay scales, there's some of the higher pay scales that we have in our community in this industry. What are the non-negotiable skills? What real skills will make you valuable to these employers? And we just kind of call this the dream candidate, right? People that have these skills, these are the kind of skills they're looking for in math, reading, writing, and language, employability skills, those soft skills that everybody talks about, technology and digital literacy. And then what are the most requested degrees? Well, here we go. So if this is someplace you want to land, this is what they are looking for and are very eager to hire. What are the most requested credentials? And we've listed those as well, like I said, for every industry. And what if you don't have those things? There's still some experiences that you may have had working outside of this industry that have great value within. And then software programming languages. For people who are wanting to learn computer programming, this is trying to give you a picture of what is really real and relevant here in our community, because some of the greatest jobs, frankly, in the country are right here in our community. And then we did do a full report where if you really want a bigger picture, you just click, it says for the full report, click here. And if you click, it'll take you to the full report with a lot more detail that you're welcome to explore as well. But we set up New Mexico True Talent for our community for that specific reason. So there's other links you can check out, but I just want to make sure people know that. Again, very mobile friendly. This is how we're trying to connect the dots, right? So maybe you start with New Mexico True Talent, and that leads you to our friend Sherry at NMSU, or maybe you want to go back and finish a degree, and then you got to go see our friend Vandine and Michael and the team at the financial aid office to kind of figure out how to make that happen. And that's really been the desire, is for us to help people understand the incredible set of resources we have here and take advantage of them, and ideally come out of COVID stronger than you went in. So that all being said, are there any questions? Brenda?
It's been a while since I've been in a learning process of something new other than what I've done for the last 7 years. So the fact that I'm getting this knowledge from both DACC and NMSU to be able to share with individuals that end up coming here to the Lions Club Community Center, because we are renaming it, maybe not in the marquee because it's expensive to do that, but calling it the Lions Club Community and Resource Center for a reason. Because after COVID started, you know, we used to have a 1,400 square foot room that was open for people to have parties in, you know, and that's how we sustained the rent and all that here. Well, now that room is separated into 6 small offices to where we're doing vision screening, hearing screening. We have a frames gallery for the glasses that we give away, and of course with the lenses in them. We're setting up an optometry room to go out and court with the local eye doctors to possibly volunteer, you know, to do 1 or 2 eye exams at no cost for people, you know, that we are referring. As well as we're working with Western Sky Community Care. We're having a closet available for things for people such as heaters in the winter, fans in the summer, really desperate individuals that are working with an agency, and that agency will have access to those items, including jackets and shoes and those kind of things. So just really basic, important things. But just being able to sit and listen to the things that are out there of things, because I never went to college. So looking at some of the lists, I'm going, do I have time to go back to school? No, I really don't, you know, because I'm already doing 12-hour days here at with the foundation and the community center. But I am enjoying so much learning all about these assets that the community has, and can't wait to share them with everyone.
Well, thank you for that, Brenda, and seriously, thank you for the work that you do on vision screenings for our kids and helping them. I was really stunned to find out how much that impacts, you know, students' learning outcomes, just an undiagnosed, you know, eye problem. So thank you for the work you're doing. All right, well, I think that we might wrap up this evening then, and I want to thank Sherry and Van Deen and Michael, and, you know, and we didn't get to hear a lot from Valerie. Valerie, is there anything you want to add? Don't feel like you came to this meeting for no reason. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, personally, the fact that our office has a lot of Spanish speakers too, I know that can be very intimidating for students, or again, adults that are returning. We're definitely available for you guys to answer any questions, guide you. Again, like Michael said, we have those events and we're always there in order to help those students who may be a little bit intimidated in asking questions or nervous about just the process in general. We want to make sure that they feel comfortable enough and included to join us as well.
Well, thank you for that. Well, thank you, Team NMSU, for the great work you guys are doing. I'm very eager to see our community take advantage of all you guys have to offer. So, yeah.
I just thought that last night Cecia asked a really pertinent question that I wanted to pose to these people tonight. Was that what about people that have gone to school in the past and maybe, you know, didn't do so well, you know, failed some classes, owe some money, and now they want to go back again, but the doors of opportunity for financial aid appear to be closed. Are there any options for those individuals?
Okay, if the person had an outstanding balance, then that outstanding balance definitely has to be cleared up. Depending on the situation, there is some funding sometimes to assist some. It's very limited to assist students in paying off old balances, and that is managed through academic advising. Because what happens, they have to have an agreement with the academic advising, because they have to go regularly for meetings with their advisor to ensure they're staying on track. So there is that aspect of it. Let's say they had failed some classes and they weren't doing well and they had stopped out. Yes, they can submit a financial aid appeal, because if they had an extenuating circumstance that had caused them to actually not do well, they can appeal based on that. Yes, they would have to provide the supporting documentation. And I know sometimes, depending on how long it is, persons can't find the documents, but definitely if it was an extenuating circumstance, they can definitely submit that. If it wasn't any extenuating circumstance and they just didn't do well, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to allow them to receive any federal aid. Their option would either have to be if it's a scholarship that did not require them to be meeting satisfactory academic progress, or a private loan. That would be all that we in financial aid would have to offer. But definitely, if they start taking classes and they're doing well, because I would definitely advise them, just take a couple of classes, start doing well, and once they're doing well, then their completion rate and their GPA would go up, and then they will eventually regain financial aid eligibility. So that is something that I would definitely advise them to do. And Brenda, you can go back to school. I wanted to get that one in before. Even if it's to take one class per semester, Brenda, you can go back to school.
Thank you. I definitely want to look at the list for sure.
Yes.
Sherry got you covered. Well, thanks you guys. Anything else, Summer? Nope, we're good. All right. Well, hey, thanks again for being here this evening. We look forward to getting this information into the community's hands, and we really do appreciate your time tonight.
Definitely.
Y'all have a great night.
Have a good one. Good night.